Well, hello, fellow fly fishers and future fellow fly fishers, and welcome back to my 10-part series on fly fishing for beginners. And this is part 2. We're going to talk about equipment selection. And my whole goal here is to get you into fly fishing without breaking the bank, or it's one of the goals. So I've listed the equipment into what I feel is essential equipment that you need to start fishing, and some optional equipment that you will probably procure as you move on in the sport and maybe need now depending on where you're going to fish. But let's just go through the items. The first 4 items: the rod, the reel, the backing, and the fly line. I suggest, if you have no equipment, to get a kit. So I'm going to suggest a 9-foot 5-weight kit to start. Okay, that's what you need to know. And as far as the sizes of the rods go, you're going to see it down here by the handle. So yours will say something like 590-4 or 905-4. But it doesn't matter. You just look at the kit. Just a little extra information. And you may see a designation on there such as medium fast or fast action. It has to do with the rod action. Either one of those will be fine. So don't worry too much about that. I would stick to a major manufacturer like Cortland, Orvis, Redington, or Scientific Angler. So with those 4 items, you may get a tapered leader, you may not, and you might get a case, and you probably will. This one accommodates the reel also, and this is a rod tube. It just holds the rod. Now when I got my first kit, it didn't have a case, so here's a money-saving tip. If you get a kit and it doesn't have it, and you didn't buy one of those manufacturers I recommend, then you can always make a tube out of PVC pipe. This is 2-inch PVC pipe, schedule 40. Super strong. You just need something to transport your rod from A to B. Okay, very important that you have some protection of the rod when you're driving around or flying somewhere. Anyway, I think my friend just bought an Orvis. It's called an Endeavor. Came with the rod, the reel, the line, the backing, and a tapered leader. And he might have got nippers, I'm not sure. But let's go to the next item, which is tapered leaders. So you may get one tapered leader with your kit or not, but you're going to need tapered leaders. So I recommend you get 9-foot 4X or 5X, or maybe both. Get a package. They'll come in packs of 3 typically, and carry those with you when you fish. You're going to need those. So just the size of, just a little bit about the X that I'm talking about. Freshwater fishing, the tippets and the leaders, they usually run from 0X maybe up to 7 or 8X. 0X being the heaviest, and this is talking about the tippet section of the leader, and 7 or 8X being the lightest. So, but here's a little thing that goes into the next item, tippet. This manufacturer, which is unusual because most of them don't, they put the construction diagram on the back. So 20% of this is tippet material. So it's 9 feet, that's about 21 inches. So I would say for most leaders, except for specialty leaders, which you don't need to worry about now, once you cut off about 18 inches of tippet, you want to tie some back on. So you will buy tippet. For your 4X leader, you can buy 4X or 5X tippet, but I recommend you buy 2 spools, one 4X, one 5X. Carry that with you when you fish. One other little tip about tapered leaders. This is a 5X, okay? You do not want to tie 4X because it's bigger in diameter to the 5X. It'll affect the way that the tapered leader performs. So just remember that. 5X, you're going to tie 5 or 6X on it. That's fine. That's a little more than you need, but maybe not. Flies and fly boxes. You're going to need flies to start fishing. We'll go over that in part 5, but here's a little fly box that came with the flies. Most fly shops will have, here's their logo, where they display the flies. They'll have something like this. This will work for a day's fishing, and for someone just getting into it, that's all you need. If you want a fly box and you want to buy something, this isn't too big, but we'll carry enough flies. And I suggest you buy something with it's a relief. If you can see that white part, that's cut out in the foam. That's to accommodate the hackle, which is right behind the eye of the hook, so it doesn't get smashed down. That's important, okay? All right. Nippers, which is something to cut line. You need something to cut line. Here's an inexpensive pair of nippers, bare bones. It just looks like, they're just like nail clippers almost, but they're straight across. If you want to save some money, not much, because these aren't very expensive, you can use nail clippers to start out, or a small pair of scissors if you want to carry those on you, like those foldable scissors. Anything to cut tippet and the loose end of a knot, which we'll go over later. So nippers or something to cut lines, you need it. And then footwear. When I fish, I always wear my wading boots. You don't need to. It depends on your athletic ability and if you're worried about slipping or not. I see some people fish in Tevas or hiking boots, but I always wear these, and I'll tell you, the soles of these boots are felt. That with some metal spikes to me, gives me the best combination of sole materials for traction on slippery surfaces. So if you buy boots, try on a bunch of different pairs. Here's something, because each manufacturer is going to fit you differently. Here's something to consider though, depending on where you're going to fish. Some places don't allow felt anymore, so you have to use a neoprene sole or neoprene with metal spikes or something. Just something to think about, food for thought. If you get them at a fly shop, if there's one around you, talk to them about that. But a lot of companies now are making these rubber soles. Okay. Always wear safety glasses, or not, just some kind of eye protection, okay? You don't have to be safety glasses, but some eye for protection. You don't want to get a hook in the eye. I recommend Polaroid glasses when you fish. So the eye protection or the glasses is a must. Polaroids are an option, but I think an important one, because it allows you to see into the water, reduces the glare, so you can spot fish, and when you're wading, you can see depressions and maybe some changes in depth better. So I recommend Polaroids. You don't want to get a hook in the eye though, so that'll end your fishing trip super fast. Okay, let's talk about the next item on the list, which is a pack or a vest or something to carry your gear in. Now there's companies that make shirts with a lot of loops and pockets. Those work fine. You can carry a couple small fly boxes and all the tools you need just attached to the D-rings. There's lanyards that have loops on it. You can attach things to that. So those are minimalist. And then from what I have to show you, from say smallest equipment carrying capacity to largest, here's a small chest pack. Can carry everything that you need though. I can put several fly boxes in here. Leaders, tippet, floatants will go in the elastic bands. A lot of rings to carry your nippers or hemostats if you have them, or nice piece of equipment. I'd say the only thing I don't like about this is it sticks a little bit out in front of me, and I like to see down below when I'm walking. But some people fish with these no problem and love them. So that's that. Now I tend to fish with my sling pack most. So here's a sling pack. It holds more equipment than that does. Just put it on, I'll show you. So like the chest pack, everything I need when I fish is here. So it's in front, very convenient. Now, that's the only drawback is I have to flip it around to change flies or change tippet or do something. And I need to work on my line. But I can carry a lot more equipment in here. So I tend to carry more fly boxes and leaders and other items. And also my arm is free to cast. I don't have anything no strap hanging on my right side. Now, if you want to carry a lot of gear, say you plan to go out for a whole day, then a vest is not a bad idea, because there'll be a very large pocket in the back to carry a lunch or water or a rain jacket, and then more pockets than you'll need. You can really grow into something like this. As a matter of fact, I think I wore a vest the first 20 years I fished. So You might want to consider a vest. But like I said, I live out here in the West, and it's too hot for me in the summer. That's why I like the sling pack, to keep it a little cooler. But that's it. Let's go on to the next item. Okay, waders. If you fish in cold water or you live in an area where there's always cold, you're gonna need waders. But I fish without waders for probably first, I don't know, 10 years I fly fished, but I live in the West, so I'm just used to going in my shorts. This is something that I would probably spend a little money on if I buy waders, because I don't want to buy cheap waders because they will leak, and that you'll be miserable. And if they leak, cheap ones in one spot, you're going to fix that leak, it's going to leak somewhere else. So I spend a little money on waders, try on different pairs from different manufacturers because they're going to fit differently. I want to be comfortable. Most will have a belt now. I have a wading belt down here. If your waders do not come with a wading belt, I highly recommend you buy a wading belt, which is nothing but a nylon belt. You'll wear it snug around your waist, so if you do happen to fall in, it will prevent water from infiltrating and filling up your waders. So if you fall into deeper water, faster water, if your waders fill up with water, it could be almost like a sail and carry you downstream or underwater worse. So wear a wading belt, a cheap safety piece of safety equipment. Okay, next item would be a net. Most people fish with a net. You don't have to, it's not absolutely necessary. If you're gonna buy a net though, look for one with silicone netting material. The main reason is if you want to catch and release fish, this doesn't remove the protective film off the fish as readily as, say, nylon material. So there you go, silicone netting material on the net. A hat. I tend to always wear hats when I fish for a couple reasons. Sun protection, and then I try to get something with a dark brim because that also reduces glare off the water. And that with the Polaroid glasses, I got a lot of glare reduction. Hemostats. Here's a very inexpensive pair of hemostats. You'll use these to remove the hook from the fish's mouth. If you turn into a catch and release fisherman, or some places actually require you to pinch the barbs, you can pinch the barbs down on the hook. And if you do fish with little sinkers, which we're not going to talk about in this course, but you can use it to put sinkers on instead of your teeth and then crack your tooth. Wading belt, we talked about that. Wading staff. So as I've gotten older and maybe just a tiny bit smarter, I always bring my wading staff with me. I don't like to fish without it anymore. I did not use one for years. And then I fell and I thought, shit, I need to carry a wading staff. So this is a solid wood. They make them collapsible and very light, so you can attach it to your wading belt. And when you need it, you pull it out. But I typically have this. I use it as a hiking stick too. It helps me on the trails, uneven surfaces. So another piece of safety equipment that I think is very valuable to have, but not necessary. Okay, thermometer. You only need a thermometer if you're going to catch and release fish. And then if the water temperature gets above 65 degrees or so, you want to stop fishing because it's too stressful on the fish if you catch one and let it go. Increases their chance of mortality. Insect repellent and sunscreen, depends where you're going to fish, and that's totally up to you. If you need sunscreen, it's not a bad idea. I usually carry it with me anyway. PDF. If you're fishing around big water or you don't know how to swim at all, then maybe a good idea. They do sell fishing vests with PDFs that are integral. It's part of the vest. So not a bad idea to consider, especially depending on your personal situation and how, like I said, how comfortable you are around the water. Then a buddy. I would fish with a buddy. It's much safer if one of you guys get hurt. Then you can help that person get out of a bad situation. You can take pictures of each other's fish for social media. You can exchange fishing stories. And then if your buddy says, I caught 4 fish that were that big, and they were really only this big, and he caught 2. You can set them straight. Okay, the last item I wanted to talk to you guys about was an insect net and maybe a little container or jar. If you're going to really get into the sport, you want to be able to identify insects. So you might want to carry, and you don't have to do this right away, but eventually you might want to carry a little net and something to carry home insects in to identify them, or unless you want to do it out in the field and let them go, but something to catch insects, especially if you're going to fish the same waters over and over again, like you got something close to your house or you have a favorite place to go. You want to know what's in that water. So not a bad thing to carry. Anyway, that wraps that up. I hope you guys come back for part 3. We're going to talk about some different fishing techniques. And thank you for watching this one, and I'll see you then. Thanks.